I wish I was you guys watching this, because this is going to be awesome.
There's actually news this week.
There's so much news this week, it's pretty absurd. In fact, let's just go ahead and get started first with the follow-up segment, because we already talked about the ridiculous cell phone thing, like where if you try to unlock your cell phone, they can throw you in jail here in the States, which is completely absurd. Well, in Canada, they are cracking down against all of the companies that want to limit you and, basically control the consumer. So here's what's going on.
So what you're saying is it's the opposite situation in Canada.
The exact opposite situation in Canada. The Competition Bureau, they want to make some changes, and they want to stop allowing companies to, charge you tons of money to cancel your account and basically lock you in. And they also want to stop companies from locking phones to certain services. And this is something I said years ago. When phones, first started coming out on the market, I was like, well, you know what? The technology for that phone will work on all these different carriers. It'll work with this carrier, it'll work with AT&T and T-Mobile and all of that because it's a GSM phone or whatever. And them locking you to their service is antitrust. And I don't know why there weren't lawsuits. I guess there were a couple lawsuits, weren't they? But they kind of got buried because, profit.
Yeah, well, in the modern situation, it's a little different in that a lot of the carriers now have proprietary technology, so you can't as easily move from one platform to another unless you got a phone that's got multiple radios in it. Which
a lot of the phones do, especially the smartphones, the Android phones, and that sort of thing. You a Samsung Galaxy S3, that's going to work on a few different carriers. So in Canada, they want the exact opposite situation as to what we're doing here in America. You guys, anybody renting a room up there? All right, let's talk about what's really going on this week. Gabe Newell at the DICE Summit. There's a video link here. I'm not going to show the entire video because it's longer than the show, and that would be silly.
But we are going to talk. Damn long show.
Yeah, it would be. Let's do that. Let's play the entire thing. Do like an Andy Kaufman type thing. I'm just going to sit here and watch Gabe Newell, then I'll read the Bible. Yeah, out loud all the way through.
I don't think that'll work. I mean, it's cool that we have a long show and all, but no.
I bet if I sat here and read like A Tale of Two Cities or something, I bet it would get a lot of hits.
Would you guys watch it? It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
The whole rest of the video would be the worst of times. Yeah.
It was an age of incredulity.
Yes, memorized. All right, let's talk about the console war, and then we're going to talk about the paradigm shift. And by the paradigm shift, I mean the shift in the way that we consume goods and the way goods are distributed. Because right now, there's a huge distribution problem, and we're going to see that come to the surface with the next console war. I'm talking the PS4, the Xbox 720, and the Steam box. And there's also some other players like the Ouya on the sidelines looking in, and possibly even Apple. And if Apple gets involved, everything's going to get weird. First off, let's talk about what we know about the PlayStation 4. Now, the PlayStation 4, the rumors are that it's going to be priced between, I don't know, some money and some other money that's on here on the screen. And let's click on this to see everything that's currently known about it. 320 gigabyte hard drive and possibly an AMD quad core, but it's all rumor and speculation. But the specifications are more like a PC than the standard PS3. So that's interesting. Now the Xbox, they released some of their specs right now, right? And they're going to be using an AMD 8 core. So that could mean a lot of different things for us on the PC. It could mean a lot of different things for the console world. So let's talk about that for just a second. What do you think is going to happen with the Xbox 720 using an 8 core?
It could be interesting. I mean, this isn't the first time that we've seen basically a PC-like processor. I mean, the original Xbox was a glorified Pentium 3.
The other thing that's interesting about this is the AMD 8 core, most games are not optimized for 8 cores. So here's what I was thinking. With the Xbox 720, we're going to see more games take advantage of 8 cores, and gaming performance might see an improvement with 8 cores on the PC. Now, I was talking to Pistol, and she mentioned something that has me, thinking as well. Well, it may encourage more people to develop for the console first and then port to the PC, so we're going to get a lot more consolitis on the PC.
Oh, yeah, not enough texture memory, not enough RAM.
Yeah, because it's very low. And with the Xbox 720, you're limited by the APIs. With the PS4, you have low-level access to the hardware, and that's going to allow them to do some crazy things. But with the Xbox 720, you still have the same limitations you do on Windows almost, like the different APIs and DirectX and et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I think that the problem that developers ran into was that like doing the full screen anti-aliasing was a little bit more of a chore and a little bit less performant.
Yeah. Apparently
on the Microsoft platform than when you have direct access to the video hardware.
If you have direct access to the video hardware, it's like 10 to 100 times faster, and that's a quote from the original designer of full screen anti-aliasing. So that's interesting. And I'm curious to know what you guys think about that. Put it in the comments, and we'll read it. not these comments, the comments on Tech Syndicate, because I don't have time to read all the ones on YouTube, even though I read some of them, okay?
One thing that really is irritating is they never put enough RAM in these consoles. I'd like to see the PS4 with 16 gigabytes of RAM, because honestly, is that
so
like $50?
inexpensive. Yeah, it's so inexpensive. And if they're buying it by the gazillion, it's going to be less than $50, you know? I guess they're cutting corners wherever they can. So let's talk about a few things that Gabe Newell had to say at the DICE Summit, and just some of the things he's been saying for the last few weeks, and the future of Steam. Now, of course, they've got the Steam box coming out. He thinks that the PC is going to move into the living room. There's going to be a lot more, streaming from one PC to the other. Not necessarily streaming from the cloud. That's not really going to be the best scenario. He thinks the best scenario will be like one PC in one room streaming to all the other TVs in all the different rooms of the house, or, devices, cell phones, etc. But he also wants to make some changes in Steam. And one of the key changes is a paradigm shift even there, because right now they've got a pretty good platform. People submit the stuff to them, and then the people on Valve have to approve it, and then it goes into the Steam store, and then we have Project Greenlight where the audience can vote, and then it gets approved. He wants to make it more of a democracy, because right now it's like a half democracy where you got Greenlight, but there's still a bottleneck, and then you also have Valve, and that's a dictatorship. Everything that goes, into the main Steam store, all the main, big titles, it's a dictatorship. They decide what goes on there and what doesn't go on there. And
this is a lot of the dichotomy that we see with the Apple Store and the Android Store.
Yes.
And so, the Android Store theoretically is very egalitarian, but the low barrier to entry means that the reality is there's an awful lot of crap in the Android Store.
Well, picture this. He wants to create a platform where essentially he's just giving this API to people and allowing them to sell whatever they want, whether it be, I'm just speculating right now because he hasn't said this, but you could sell anything that's digital in this store. You could sell music and independent movies or whatever. It's a totally new distribution model that cuts out the idiot middleman. And the other thing that's interesting is he wants to take the Android store, and combine that with Etsy. Because he said he wants to allow people to create their own storefronts. So let's imagine you're creating a bunch of apps or something. Well, you can go on and use the Steam API and create, the tech store, right? And then we've got all our digital assets that you can go on there and buy, and we maintain the store, and we can go on there and say, hey, let's do a sale this week. We don't need to contact Steam and say, hey, guys at Valve, can you guys do a sale for us? We will have total control. So that's kind of the future that he's seeing with that platform.
Well, I got the impression that you could also think like people in Minecraft that are building like the Starship Enterprise in Minecraft. So you could put that in Steam and sell it.
Oh, you know what? I was about to get to that point, but I didn't put the two and two together until just now. Probably because I've been drinking too much and on the phone too long. But
oh god,
that is very true. So guys like us who are just making mods for games, hats. We can make a hat store. And then you can have your own little hat store and share the link and all that stuff. Whoa, we could make a fortune with this. All right, stop all the videos. We're just going to make hats and the Starship Enterprises and stuff like that.
And we're going to make $200 million doing it.
On digital goods. Remember when we laughed and laughed and laughed when people were paying like, $50,000 for digital real estate in Ashran's Call and stuff like that? They're the real money to buy something in the game.
I had forgotten about that. Thanks. Now I'm going to have an aneurysm.
I didn't mean to. So, I don't know. Do you think this would be a good shift or a bad shift? Do you think it's going to... I guess the only way I think it could be bad is if it floods the market with so much that it becomes just a mire of what the hell?
I think it's going to... The novelty of owning the Starship Enterprise Minecraft level will probably wear off at some point. But that day is not today.
But would the cream rise to the top?
The cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
If they have some way that the cream could rise to the top, and of course, review sites do help to, share things and also user reviews and that sort of thing. I don't think it would be a bad thing, but I want to know what you guys think the pros and cons of this would be. So there's that going for the paradigm shift. User-generated stores will be interesting. Now, The Verge has released an article, and they are calling the Steam box. They're saying that it's going to reinvent the game console as you know it, and it's basically like if your name is Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo, you should start taking notes. Take a look at this. It's a lot of the things that we've been talking about for the last several weeks, just put into concise format, and a few things that we said have been reiterated here, but there's also a few new ideas in there, so you guys can take a look at that article. It's interesting, if you like. But they didn't really mention the big player who could jump in and change things, and that's Apple, because they like to close things down. But I don't even really see them as a competition for Steam either. I still see it as another option.
Apple, the Angry Birds game console.
There's two other ways that Sony and Microsoft are handling things differently when compared to Valve and Steam. And that is that they are locking down their platforms as well. And this is, we've seen GameStop stock take a drop. Now, remember Sony, they announced, we talked about this, they announced the patent or whatever, so that when you buy a game, it ties it to your console or your account, not your console, but your account, so therefore you can't trade in your game anymore. But Microsoft has said that with theirs, you're going to always have to be connected to the internet. So when you've got your Xbox 720, if you want to play a game, you've got to connect to the internet. It's basically going to be more of a model like Steam, where you buy the game, you have a serial number, you put it in, it links that game to your account, and then the game's pretty much worthless when you go to GameStop and try to trade it in.
I'm not really sure if that was confirmed or a rumor, because a lot of the stuff around the Xbox is totally rumor, and people are picking it up and running with it.
Yeah, and it's caused GameStop stock to drive. It's caused the GameStop stock to drop again. Say that 10 times fast. GameStop stock. I dare you. Send me a video of you guys doing that.
If I were a totally outside observer looking at the situation, looking at Sony, man, Sony's in trouble. Sony's the company whose stock I'd sell.
More than GameStop even?
Yeah, probably, because Sony's got a lot of deep issues right now because they've lost a whole bunch of money. They're really not doing a lot to innovate. And they're getting ready to have this huge capital outlay for the PlayStation 4. This could break them.
That's scary. It'll just be Microsoft, Steam, and Apple.
Sony is so disconnected from reality that I don't even know what they're thinking. I mean, they could have brought unified, devices, multi devices, tablets, the whole nine yards. They had some really innovative consumer electronics 10 years ago, and they just squandered it all.
So sell your Sony stock. You heard it here. All right. Talking about the paradigm shift, that's been sort of our, or at least my theme for quite a while now. But the Court of Human Rights says that the convictions for file sharing violate human rights. And this is a pretty big deal because in Europe, this could change a lot of things. And one thing I want to emphasize here is that the EU is not saying, or the Court of Human Rights is not saying that file sharing is completely okay and kosher, but they're saying it's part of our culture and we have to allow for it. And the the punishments for some of these copyright violations are completely out of hand, and that's what they're really saying. It's similar like what were you saying earlier about
debtor's prison.
Yes, debtor's prison. Now tell them what debtor's prison is, because some of the guys do not know what debtor's prison even is.
Okay, so a long time ago, when you had a debt to somebody, the state would put you in jail until you paid your debt. I mean, that makes a lot of sense because you can work from jail.
Yeah.
But a lot of this copyright violation stuff is very similar to a debtor's prison. And so it's like, you shared a file, we're going to, blah, 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 $100,000. That's a lot of money. So it is effectively, a very cruel sentence. Somebody could theoretically go to jail for that.
And I do agree that it is a violation of human rights. It really violates us at a deep level, and it also really obstructs us as far as like being able to share and create culture.
The type of burden that you create on an individual when you find them $100,000, that's going to be with them for 10, 20, 30 years, and that's assuming that they're of more than modest means. Now
you can no longer get convicted for violating the copyright monopoly alone. There has to be other ways that you've infringed. Maybe you're making money on distribution or something like that. But if you just share a file, that's not going to lead to a conviction. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the language there, I think, was that there has to be the society has to have a need for punishing the activity.
We talked about how Sony and Microsoft are locking their platforms down, and Amazon recently had I guess they got a patent going on so that they can resell their digital goods.
Well, Steam shouldn't get a pass here either, because Steam, you can't really resell your Steam games either.
No, we haven't even gone into that. That's something that's been built into Steam since day one, and a lot of people they don't even think about it anymore because they're used to it, and when people are used to it, they don't yell and scream. But would it help? Is it going to hurt the publisher? I mean, not the publishers, the book writers or the content creators, the musicians, and the game publishers if Amazon starts selling used digital goods? What do you think?
Well, no more than it does already for physical goods.
But it's so much easier. And the thing about the physical goods, and this is the one thing that I'm going to point out. When you go buy a used book, there's creases. There may be pencil marks. There's the material has deteriorated. With digital products, there's absolutely zero change when it changes hands. There's nobody else's fingerprints on it. The box is not torn. There's no scratches on the disc. So it's essentially a brand new product being exchanged. And that's
true.
that's what drives, like, if I go to the store, I'm like, well, you know what, I can get the used copy for $44, but a brand new one for $49, and the used copy has a ding in it or something. I'm like, you know what, just give me the new one. So there will be no incentive to buy a new product at all. So that's what I want to think about here, because I do think it may impact the bottom line of a few people, like the writers and the content creators. And I don't really want the bottom line to be impacted. However, I think we as people possibly will, spend an extra dollar if we know that it's going to help an artist that we like. And I hope that we'll do that.
But here's the $64,000 question. If we do away with the middlemen, do the authors make more money, even with the advent of used digital goods being perfect?
That is right, because right now, musical artists, they'll make less than $1 on a $10 album. They'll make like 22 cents or something stupid like that. On Bandcamp, if you guys go to Bandcamp, you guys can buy Zweihander for $3.33, and I make like $3.10 of that. And the rest of it goes to Bandcamp for their awesome service that they've put together, and I'm happy about that.
As opposed to if it were with a label, in which time you would still owe them $800,000.
Yeah, and I would have to be selling my products for a way higher price and be making less money. So it makes a lot more sense to me to sell something for $3.33. Did you buy it yet? On Bandcamp. All right, what's next on the list here? Oh, this is kind of interesting. On the Consumer Loyalty Engagement Index, Amazon and Samsung have unseated Apple. So the Apple customers are no longer as loyal to Apple as they are to Samsung and Amazon.
Apparently, adding an extra inch to the iPhone 5 just wasn't enough this time around.
I think people are getting fed up. Because I know some of my hipster friends up in New York are like, they used to like wear around Apple everything. They even had like Apple grills for their mouth. And they don't wear them anymore. They're like, I'm kind of getting tired of Apple and all their BS. I wish they'd just sell good stuff. I don't know if that was a hipster voice or not, but
They're still selling LGA 1366 based Mac Pros for like $5,000. Come on, guys, really get it together.
more Amazon. There's the Dread Pirate Bezos looking in there holding those Kindle Fires. They've got something interesting they're doing because, they're so flush right now. They've just got money and more money. And what they've done is they've borrowed a bunch of money and they've come up with this thing called, I think it's Amazon Coins. Have you heard of this?
They're inventing their own currency.
What's fun about this is that they're actually going to, they're borrowing a bunch of money because they've got so much it doesn't matter. And they're going to turn it into tens of millions of Amazon coins. And then they're going to give those things away to the members and users of Kindle Fire. Now, here's the interesting part about this. What that's going to do, in my opinion, is going to get people hooked on the service. Because if you have no media content, then you're not even going to be motivated to use the service. But once you have that one book or that one DVD or that one thing, people, they have this thing in their brain where they have to build a library. People love building. I love Steam. I have to build a library. I'm like, ooh, there's all these new games and they're only $2. I'm never going to play them, but I need to build my library. I need a bigger library. More stuff in my library. I think that's what's going to happen. People are going to get a few things and they're going to get addicted and they're going to end up spending their own money.
I'm a digital consumer whore.
It's going to happen. I'm telling you, they're geniuses. Okay. Follow-up segment. We talked about Silent Circle.
Okay, so we talked about Silent Circle, but the deal with that is that it's an app that does encrypted user-to-user communications. And this is part of an overall trend. Like, you guys have probably seen Snapchat and some other communication programs where the messages have a lifetime. Now, I don't think Snapchat uses encryption, but Silent Circle does. And so this is making it very hard for governments to spy on you. This is related to what Kim.com was saying. So, you've got a lot of really interesting things going on here. But Silent Circle lets you have encrypted text messages and encrypted communications. Very difficult to spy on.
Even small files.
Yeah.
Several megabytes in size. You can send them. So, yeah. And this is probably going to 60 megabytes.
Encryption everywhere will defeat the surveillance state.
And that's it. We're done. So that's a small step. This is kind of funny. We've talked about the DMCA takedown notices all the time. HBO has been telling Google to take down links in which HBO themselves have uploaded.
And it's not just, it's HBO.com. Google is like, what? And it's like HBO.com requests that you delist links on HBO.com. Google's like, okay, sounds good.
Thanks for wasting our time, HBO.
By the way, this is the same system the Six Strike system is going to use to determine, infringing content. So good luck with that.
Oh, what a mess this is going to be. And we've got Time Warner, so we're going to enjoy the benefits of it all.
Yeah, it's like 6 strikes. You downloaded a Linux distro. It's like, what? No.
We don't know what Debian is. Sounds like some kind of, yes, it's definitely copyright. Just give them a strike, hurry.
The MPAA was like, no, you're not allowed to download this. Stop being free.
I see a bunch of, weirdos walking around in suits in, an old office building smoking cigarettes like, hey, this guy did this. I don't know what this is. Give him a strike, Randy. Just give him a strike. And then you guys want to go out and get a pizza later? I have no idea. I have none whatsoever. So the Promo Bay, the Pirate Bay's promotional website for artists that allows an artist like Zweihander, for only $3.33, buy it, to upload their stuff to the website and just distribute it. And you can even make some money on it if you want to, but if you upload it for free, you can. But the idea here is that distribution is good because it raises awareness about your thing, your website, your, whatever you're doing, your movie, your music. Several major Finnish record labels contacted the courts in Helsinki, and they were like, please, can you give us this? Because, the piratebay.com was blocked, or whatever it is, piratebay.something. Pirate Bay was blocked. And the courts looked at it all, and they said, you know what? It's back on. So while they are not, endorsing or supporting the Pirate Bay, they've turned the Promo Bay back on in that country. And there's the letter down here from the courts in Helsinki.
Well, I thought it was interesting that they were saying that the Promo Bay was blocked for linking to the Pirate Bay. And then it's like, honestly, at what point does that stop?
Yeah, because I'm sure somebody...
Google links to the Pirate Bay.
Block Google. You can go to Google and find a torrent, block it. That's what I think should happen. Oh, God. This Obama photo. I've seen this thing so much this week, but this is a pretty good collection of a lot of these photos.
Just for the lulz.
This is just what happens when you upload something and tell someone not to Photoshop it.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Beyonce photo as well?
Yes.
I'm not even going to put that on here. She looks like a man. I always knew she was a man. Oh, there she is. Oh, right over here on the side. Right there. Yep.
I like the She-Hulk version.
Yeah, that's it right there. Oh, that's beautiful. So all you guys out there who have fantasies, I hope you see that in your head every time you start to have a fantasy about Beyonce.
I saw an article that was like Beyonce publicist would request that photos be taken down, and it's like, Streisand effect.
That I would fire that publicist so fast. If I was that publicist, I would have been like, let's just shut up and not say a word.
First rule of embarrassing photos on the internet is you don't talk about embarrassing photos on the internet.
Wow. Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
The Obama photos really aren't that bad. They're just funny, and they haven't really mentioned them, so it hasn't blown up. They're just funny.
Yeah. Well, they are pretty funny. So Anonymous is hacked into the Fed now. Violet Blue, she just keeps writing articles about Anonymous. I think she might be a member of Anonymous.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Every time I see an article, whether it's on CNET or ZDNet, it's by Violet Blue. She's got to be the Anonymous beat girl.
Well, they'll probably arrest her for being tangentially related like they already did the one Anonymous spokesperson. He was a guy who doesn't know anything about technology, but he hung out on an IRC channel, and they were like, we're going to put you in jail for 100 years. That's probably a story for another tech.
Yeah, the Anonymous got into the Fed. I thought these guys were I didn't think they had capabilities like that, and the Fed has admitted that this has happened.
Well, admittedly, the Fed probably doesn't know their ass from a hole in the ground.
Don't you think they have enough money to hire somebody that knows their ass from a hole in the ground? And they can tell them, go in there and make it not do this.
They're too busy making money on toxic subprime mortgages.
Them? No.
Or on interbank loans, or on LIBOR, or something like that.
They don't need to make money on anything when they can print their own money.
But we don't talk about that on this show.
Oh, yeah. Different show, guys. Just moving right along there. Google's new office in Tel Aviv. I am totally moving to Tel Aviv, and I'm going to work at this place.
Yeah, it looks really amazing.
It's unreal. I'm just going to scroll through some of these pictures in case you guys have not seen this. There's it is wild. I like the decorations, Wood and earth tones, natural curves. It's a low cubicles so that you can see.
As much as we love Google, this just reminds me too much of like the .com days where everybody had like a $900 chair, and it's just like, really? I mean,
Yeah, the opulence.
come on now.
It's still beautiful.
It is beautiful. And
So.
it's definitely something worth having, but I mean, good Lord.
These chairs are custom.
Everything is custom.
Wow.
I think that the treadmills are custom.
Stone walls. They just like brought giant slabs of stone in from a quarry. It's all right. Dell is now a privately held company.
Dun, 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 dun. This is kind of big news.
$24 billion. Did they even have $24 billion anymore?
Well, okay. You have to understand, it's like, it's HP and Dell. And they're the two most incompetent 800 gorillas in the room making computers.
800 gorillas?
800-pound gorillas.
What the hell? I just saw like them all having a meeting and getting together. There's 400 gorillas from Dell and 400 gorillas from HP, and they're all wearing suits with briefcases. That's what I just saw in my head when you say that. Okay, 800-pound gorillas.
That pretty much is how it is. I mean, both of them don't have a clue. And so Michael Dell has this idea that if he's not beholden to the shareholders, they can take over the world. But at the same time, if you look at the Verge article, the downward spiral. Now, this article really is a little harsh.
Yeah.
But, you know, every time Dell is like, we can do consumer electronics, it tends to fail spectacularly.
But they do understand services, and they do understand reoccurring billing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, look at you were talking about their medical sector.
Yeah, the places where they're really profitable are like the IBM consulting division, like the medical division of Dell is insanely profitable. It's like, oh, you run a hospital? Would you like to take everything to the cloud? And so there's no infrastructure at the hospital anymore.
Yep.
That's a nice
Well,
profitable
they got slim
part.
clients, and that's about it.
Yep. Yeah, it works really well.
And they
But
pay Dell a lot of money every month.
Dell making a new version of the Adamo? No, that's not profitable at all. The Adamo is beautiful design, but so poorly executed it was terrible.
Yeah, there it is. Oh.
That was the first version. They tried again later with a more terrible
They're like,
implementation.
hey guys, I don't think we failed hard enough. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, the other Adamo is just weird.
Well, what just happened here? There. All right. What else we got to talk about today?
Hardware, open source
Hardware,
HD 8000.
yes. AMD has published open source Radeon HD 8000 series drivers, and the HD 8000 series is not even out yet. What does this mean for the world?
This could be a game changer.
I'm hoping that this is going to push NVIDIA to do the same thing. Now, one thing historically that has been true, AMD's drivers are not as good as NVIDIA's drivers. I don't care what anybody says, that is the truth. I know this firsthand. And I use AMD. I've got right now AMD 7870. There's a 7970 right here. The drivers work, but the NVIDIA drivers are a little bit better. Having open source drivers, we're going to see a lot of things changed, a lot of things improved upon, and a lot of things fixed. So that's pretty cool. They've got a lot more developers working for them now.
Well, and you know, the open source community it seems like they're being a little lukewarm to this because they've been burned in the past. In the past, AMD and NVIDIA both have said, oh, we're going to do this or oh, we're going to do that, but then it's like 2D only drivers or it's using some crappy OpenGL wrapper or blah, blah, blah. So now they're like, well, we'll just wait until the hardware's out before we really do anything.
Yeah, and I guess we'll wait till the hardware's out ourselves before we say anything about that. Hopefully it'll be a game changer, though.
Hopefully it'll be a game changer. Hopefully that this, you know, we see HD 8000 powered Steam boxes. I mean, that would be ideal.
Yeah. G-Skill has launched the world's fastest 32 gigabyte memory kit. It's 2800, cast latency 11. 2800 megahertz. Just wanted to take a look at that. You know, we're going to see more of this because DDR4 is going to be out soon, so they're trying to get DDR3 as crazy as possible. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I'm happy with my 2400 megahertz Kingston Beast, though. I like that stuff quite a lot. It's been solid. The Chromebook Pixel. So there was a leaked video of the Chromebook Pixel, and this looks like it's going to completely rival, if not destroy, the Retina display. So let's talk about what's going on here.
It's a rumor. We don't know.
It has been seen in the wild. Resolution is 2560 by 1700.
Wow.
It's a strange aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Ratio.
Hey, whatever gets us away from 1280 by 800 and that nonsense.
Yeah. Exoskeletons are upon us. I really want I want a Gundam. I want a Gundam suit right now. That's what I told my mom, and I got slapped.
There's some really
what did you say?
There's some really amazing robotic suits out there. There's one guy that's got like a 6-legged spider walker thing, and there's another guy that's got some sort of suit that lets him run at like 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. But they're not totally robotic. Some of them are just like mechanical parts going on and stuff. But
Yep.
But right now we have, I guess, some scientists here have created an exoskeleton that will allow a paralyzed man to walk, and he's an ex-Army veteran. Where's he from? John Hall, or
Yep.
John Vale, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so what's exciting about this is we have an exoskeleton prosthesis that's been handed out to a veteran, I guess, in Florida, in Tampa, and he could walk again with the prosthesis. But
pretty cool.
It's a robotic exoskeleton, basically.
And soon I'll have my Gundam suit.
Yeah, the end game of this is basically to build Iron Man, and we might be there in 20 years if there's the money to develop the technology.
Yeah, right after Singularity, then all the robots can do it for us.
Yes.
And like, guys, build this. We're people. We don't want to think anymore. We're tired. So another interesting science, almost sci-fi news. Scientists in China, but the actual guy was from Britain, have developed a propellantless,
Space drive.
Yeah, space drive or thrust mechanism. So...
Well, okay, so this sounds really weird, and it sounds anti-Newtonian, but it's really not once you
Well,
look
every time
at
you
it.
fly somewhere, you have to shoot something out the back of something.
Yes.
That's just the rules.
Yep, and
wanna
for
fly
every
somewhere-
action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, there's got to be an explosion with fire flying out the back, and plus that's badass. And it looks really awesome in movies with fire flying everywhere out the back.
So their thing that's flying out the back is microwave radiation.
Because microwaves have a thrust that's greater in one direction than the other. And everyone laughed at him in Britain. And so he went to China.
Yeah, the amount of thrust we're talking about here is like, the weight of some peanuts, I guess, is what the article says. But in space, if you've got a probe moving away from something and it's a continuous acceleration, that's a good thing. The ion drive is another drive that shoots ions out the back of it for acceleration, but it's a very low acceleration.
But it's more than peanuts, though.
Yes, more than
This
peanuts.
is like throwing peanuts, and that's like throwing handfuls of gravel.
Yeah.
Did we break that down enough for you guys? Let's talk about gaming, shall we? Oh, yeah. The CEO has promised that every year they're going to release a new $99 OEM. And like next year, we'll see one with the Tegra 4 or something. Who knows? So that's kind of interesting. If you guys are looking forward to that Android console, I'll just probably upgrade my phone. And I can't wait until they start coming up with more phone docks for like your TV. That's what we really need. I think we do not need an OEM. I think we need tons of really cool phone docks. They're just USB plugs that you plug into your phone, and all of a sudden your phone has become the console for your living room. That's what we need, because a lot of the phones are becoming more and more powerful. Quad core in the palm of your hand.
We need a better, easier way of moving things between devices.
Oh, that's coming. I think that's really the next step. And Gabe Newell knows it's the next step too. If you watch his keynote from the DICE Summit, he was talking about that a lot. How that's very important. Being able to seamlessly move things from one device to the other and have them stream. And then, we also see, like, we just got off the phone with Asus, and a lot of their technology that they have for their Wi-Fi, being able to swap and share things is very interesting from one device to the other, or be on your phone and be able to swap something from your computer to your TV just by pushing a button on your phone. That's what we need to see more of. We've talked about Gabe Newell more than anybody. He's become the Kim.com of this episode.
He really has. Well, he's awesome, though.
Yeah, Kim.com, we didn't really go into how he's different from Gabe Newell, which I kind of wanted to do because their methods are so different, and Gabe Newell is like, he's really subverting the powers that be in the system with a smile on his face, and they're eating out of the palm of his hand. While Kim.com is like, people are hitting him in the back of the head with bow doors all day long, when he's just like, if you want, I will come to your country and tell you how to do your business. And Gabe Newell's like, I'll just show you guys, and just give me money. And they're like, okay, sure. So it's a bit different. Anyway, he's been talking to J.J. Abrams about a possible Portal or Half-Life movie.
Hugh Laurie. I gotta have Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, Hugh Laurie. A lot of people have been circulating the picture of Walter White. What's the guy's real name?
The Malcolm in the Middle dad as Gordon Freeman? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I always imagined if Gordon Freeman talked, he sounded like Hugh Laurie. So
Bryan Cranston, yeah. Well, sound like Hugh Laurie in House.
Yeah.
Not like Hugh Laurie in Blackadder or any of the other British,
Or a bit of Fry and Laurie. No. Like in House.
Like, what on earth is going on here? Oh my, the reactor's gone critical, has it? Well, we must hit it with things. Give me my crowbar, I'm going to break windows and whatnot.
Oh dear, a head crab.
I shall smash it to death with this here crowbar. No, that was a terrible accent. I am sorry to everyone in Britland.
Oh no.
Subscribe. It's over there, y'all. I gotta go edit this thing now.
Oh wait, what about the?
Wait, missed something?
Do we want to join the channel?
What channel? Oh yeah. I've been drinking too much to tell people to join the Beer Games Beer channel. We're gonna start streaming soon to Beer Games Beer. If you guys like watching us play games, and you know what else we're gonna start streaming? We might start streaming Dungeons and Dragons sessions, like over Google Hangout. Like hang out with a few people playing Dungeons and Dragons, and there may be some secret celebrities involved in these hangouts. And if they're comfortable with the stream, we'll throw the entire stream of us playing half-drunk Dungeons and Dragons up on Beer Games Beer.
The first one has to be something where we stage somebody being a bear, prestige class as a spy, and that whole bit. That would be awesome.
If you don't get that, just Google bear prestige class spy and thank us for the laughs that you're going to have. And if you do not laugh, then you're not a citizen of the world. I was going to say you're not an American, but we reach a large audience, and I like them all.
Very good, Sir Barrington. Perhaps we should ask the party to investigate the Black Marsh.
Thank you guys for buying t-shirts. We are pretty much sold out of the Earth logo. I thought I was wearing the Earth logo shirt, but I'm wearing an owl.
Oops.
I will never do this again. All right, this is the end of the show, guys. Subscribe, and I'll order more t-shirts, but some of the other ones are available. Buy them, and then thanks for picking up Zweihander. You guys are allowing me to eat, and that is nice. And it's kind of scary that you guys hold the power, hold that kind of power over me. If you don't buy Zweihander, I starve. How did I get myself in a situation where people I've never met can control whether or not I eat? See you guys next time.